It's time for a quick time update of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners meeting for July 3rd. With me is Interim County Manager Larry Werner. I'm Lloyd Higuera. And Larry, at the commission meeting, commissioners did decide to opt out on allowing medical marijuana establishments here in Douglas County.
That's correct. Yeah, the next step is to adopt an ordinance taking that position, and should be in the next month or so we'll have the ordinance adopted.
Okay, so Douglas County gives the message opting out, and I know you keep in touch with Carson City. What did Carson City decide to do?
Carson City decided to actually allow and permit establishments within Carson City, which is one of the reasons I think that the county here looked at saying, well, there might be then facilities available for people that need the medical marijuana program. And so it's not like they're prohibited from getting it, just they will have to drive to Carson.
Okay, very good. Commissioners are moving ahead with establishing a monthly water rate for the Carson Valley Water Utility Fund.
Right. We've come up with they came up with a compromise. There was a proposal offered that was a little lower than what they originally had proposed, that originally the board had proposed. So they came up with a 2.6% increase for water and a 3.25% increase for sewer. And that will be moving forward in a resolution in the next month or so.
Okay, so you covered both water and sewer in one fell swoop there. Okay, that's good. Commissioners upheld a planning commission decision to deny an indoor gun range. That's under current Douglas County code, but commissioners did direct staff to look into modifying the code.
Right. You know, the feeling was that an indoor gun range would be a good thing in Douglas County. It's just a matter of how you vet it when you actually get an application, and to make sure it's in the proper zoning and at the proper requirements for parking, safety, noise are looked at and discussed. So I think their staff is going to come back with a program to do that.
So we'll see an ordinance or a resolution
Right.
coming up soon then.
Be an ordinance, be a modification to the zoning code that does
Okay.
that. So.
Commissioners also heard from the Bureau of Land Management. They gave a report on their projects here in Douglas County.
Yes, we talked about the Fish Springs wild horses, where they're coming up with a program to sterilize the female horses to try to control the herd size. And then they talked about the Pinion Loop Trail and adding more mileage to the trail with internally, kind of an internal loop. And then the third thing was the Pine Nut Land Health Program, which is to kind of control the weeds and plants to get the proper growth of the right kinds of plants in the area for wildfire management, the ecological systems, that sort of thing.
Okay, sounds like BLM is busy. Commissioners approved the process for the town of Minden to fill an upcoming vacancy on the Minden Town Board.
Right, and the process is the county will assist the town in advertising for applicants, and then doing an initial vetting, which will then go to the town board, who will recommend up to 3 candidates be interviewed by the Board of County Commissioners, and then to be selected for the appointment to Steve Thaler's old position on the town board.
Yeah, Steve Thaler will become a commissioner in January of 2015, making that opening.
Right.
Okay, commissioners also are moving ahead with the installment purchase of a combination sewer and storm drain cleaner truck at a cost of $320,000. We've talked about this one before, so it's inching along.
It is. There are definitive steps by statute, and we're following every one of them. So this is just one more in the process.
Okay, and commissioners approved a resolution authorizing a temporary 1-year interfund loan in the amount of $400,000, and this would be to complete the construction of the North County Waterline Intertie project.
That's correct. It's basically the final payment to the contract, and then once that's done and the contract's accepted, the county will turn around and bill Indian Hills, GID, and Carson City for its share, which then reimburses back to the county this interfund loan.
Okay. And commissioners introduced an ordinance creating notification requirements for the installation of temporary traffic control devices.
Correct. There was confusion and ambiguity on what type of permitting was required, when it was required. This ordinance attempts to define that to not make it so strenuous on a very short-term, non-traffic impacted process or a closure to not require people to go through that. But as we get more and more into longer durations of closures or different intersections and streets closed, then there's a process by which traffic control plans have to be approved and accepted and permitted. So.
Okay, and Commissioners adopted an ordinance amending Douglas County Code to extend the date for landscape improvements at Montera and also set up a fund to collect funds from the residents for that maintenance.
That's correct. And under this, with the adoption of the ordinance, then the county will start billing the folks for the landscape maintenance, and then those funds go into a separate distinct fund for the county either to use its own forces to do the landscape maintenance or to contract out. But it puts in motion a process allowed by state law that was implemented several sessions ago.
Okay, and Commissioners directed staff to draft a letter to the Environmental Protection Agency and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and this was opposing the definition of waters of the U.S. under the Clean Water Act.
Yeah, the concern was that if the way it was being proposed, that the definition of clean water under the Clean Water Act could include things like roadside ditches. And if that was the case, and if the same standards were to apply to a roadside ditch that apply to a navigable stream or one of the other streams that basically what you typically think of as being waters of the U.S., nobody was sure exactly what that meant. I mean, how involved would it be? How costly would it be? And it could be just fraught with all kinds of unintended consequences. So the issue is that this is just not appropriate.
Okay, and lastly, Commissioners awarded the contract for the 2014 Road Seal project that went to Sierra Nevada Construction in the amount of $395,007.
Right, and this basically is to put it's a maintenance program that, based on the condition of the roadway, that this program of applying a coating of oil, a seal coat, actually then extends the life of the pavement. It rejuvenates the surface coating, allows it to continue on, but keeps it from deteriorating further and then go beyond the point where you have to then go into full reconstruction, those sorts of things. So.
Okay. Well, Larry, thank you very much for all the information you shared on our QuickTime Update. I'm Lloyd Higuera for the QuickTime Update with Interim County Manager Larry Werner.